What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Be That Guy podcast. My name is DJ Ligori, and if you are tuning in for the first time ever, I want to first welcome you to the podcast. We love to cover a wide range of topics on this show about how we can be better guys and how we can master the hard and the soft skills of life, whether that is being more disciplined and more consistent with some of the hard skills or some of the soft skills when it comes to emotional intelligence, compassion, empathy, things along those lines. And so typically I'm talking to guys who are in between the ages of 18 and 26 or parents who have sons in that age range. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that is it's going to sound a little counterintuitive to some of the stuff that you might see online when people talk about like positive self-talk and things along those lines. I'm going to actually try and time this so that I can be a little respectful of everybody's time. But everybody talks about like positive self-talk, and we want to be careful of negative self-talk, and we want to talk to ourselves kindly. And yes, I agree with that to a certain degree. And today's title of what I'm going to talk about is when negative self-talk can actually be a good thing. All right. And so we were running a Be That Guy group session. This is part of our Be That Guy club. Each month we get guys together and we talk about topics that guys typically don't talk about. All right. This is just being a part of our club. And we were talking about discipline and consistency and how boys do what they want, men do what's required. And one of the young men said that he very strategically uses negative self-talk to help himself go to the gym. And so he shared some of the things that he literally tells himself in his mind. And that is what propels him to actually go to the gym because it doesn't feel that good. And so we've always been told to be kind to ourselves. And yes, I agree with that. Okay. And sometimes though, the thing we need is a little self-imposed fire. And that's what I think the power of intentionally using negative self-talk can do. And that's what I want to talk about in today's episode. And negative self-talk we can use it as the guidance system, but not the operating system. If you think about the metaphor that we've probably heard 1,000 times of like putting your hand on the hot stove, right? You don't keep your hand there. You eventually take it off. And how long do you keep your hand there for? Well, typically it's like a second, and then you take it off, and then you avoid burning your hand. Well, the negative is that quick second, and then the rest is positive because you're not in pain anymore. And so we can use negative self-talk as that trigger to get us to go somewhere. Yet we don't want to necessarily stay in that negative self-talk for the journey. And the example I came up with, I said it was kind of like jumper cables for your car. All right. It's a shock that gets the engine going, but it's not how you drive every mile. You use it to start, not to sustain. And I was recently at a conference in Pennsylvania, and this guy named Mike Kim, who wrote the book, You Are the Brand. It's on my other bookshelf. I actually have the book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm very excited to read it. You Are the Brand. And Mike Kim gave this awesome presentation. And one of the lines he said in his presentation was, your self-criticism could use a softer touch. And I loved that line. I thought it was so eloquent, and it made me feel like I was almost kind of giving myself a little bit of a hug. And so I agree with that piece of life, right? And I think life is all about the integration of the hard and soft skills. And I think that is a soft skill to essentially have like self-compassion and self-love. And then I want you to think about David Goggins. I want you to think about publicly how he has shared how he has to talk to himself sometimes to get himself to wake up and go run 65 miles, to get himself to go do thousands of push-ups and pull-ups. It's not that kind. It's not that gentle of a conversation. And that's what you need in order to create the performance needed to do 1,000 push-ups, to do 1,000 pull-ups. And I want you to think about the impact that Goggins has had on the world. I want you to think about the people who say, you got to channel your inner Goggins, and the people who have listened to what David Goggins has said and completely transformed their lives. Right? David Goggins is an absolute gift to the world, and he utilizes negative self-talk in a very brutal and painful way. And so pain is a huge push to action. Typically, we will not move unless we are in pain. And one of my favorite stories of all time is the two dogs that are sitting on the porch. One dog is sitting on a nail. The other dog is not sitting on a nail. Guy walks up to the two dogs, and the one dog sitting on the nail is whimpering. And the owner of the dogs is standing behind the two dogs. And the guy who walked up to the dog says, "Hey, why is your dog whimpering?" And he says he's sitting on a nail. And then the guy who walked up to the dog says, well, why doesn't he move? And the owner of the dog says he must not be in enough pain. Simple and brilliant. We will not move unless we are in enough pain that will actually cause us to move. And we are rewarded for what we are willing to go through. If we intentionally decide to have some negative self-talk that does not feel that good, and we are willing to actually go into that, like the young man who said, I actually talk bad to myself to get myself to the gym, he's rewarded with a great workout and a great feeling of accomplishment. Self-criticism can spark that urgency we need, yet strategically use it. Like I said, use it as the jumper cable, not the sustained journey. Once you have that negative self-talk, boom, then snap into some more empowering language. Yet be strategic with the way you use your negative self-talk. Another session that we were running last week, same group session, one of the young men said pain is a privilege. And I loved that idea because when we're in pain, one, it indicates that we're alive and we have some substance and we matter. And seeing someone with a six-pack when you're out of shape might put you in a little bit of pain if you want a six-pack. Seeing somebody who has a great job that is very fulfilling to them might put you in a little bit of pain if you have a job that is completely soul-sucking. Pain is awareness of what you could be. Pain is essentially saying, hey, the state you're in is not a desired state right now. You want to go somewhere else. You want to go somewhere else and get a six-pack. You want to go somewhere else and get a better relationship. You want to go somewhere else, start your own business, make more money. Yet we won't essentially move until we have enough pain to actually cause us to move. And that's what I think proper, strategically placed negative self-talk can actually help install that pain. And so here's a couple practical applications for any guy who is between the ages of 18 to 26 who wants to strategically use the negative self-talk to start to kind of change their life and not do it to a degree to where you're completely destroying yourself. Like I said, we have to be aware of how we're using it, yet we can still be very strategic with the usage of it. So let's say, for example, you want to go to the gym in the morning, okay? Here's an example of what some of that negative self-talk could sound like if you want to get out of bed and go to the gym. If I skip today, I'm proving myself right, that I'm not consistent. Is that who I want to be? So think about that one. Video games. If you're a young man and you want to stop playing video games, you want to grow up a little bit. Is this really video games. Is this really how a man who wants more out of his life spends his nights? Is this who I want to be? Let that pain sink in a little bit. Remember, one of the things we talked about in our group session was boys do what they want, men do what's required. Then the last thing, let's say you want to minimize your screen time, stop going on Instagram and TikTok and doom scrolling late into the night, and maybe start to grab a book, start to educate yourself a little bit. Robin Sharma, victims seek entertainment, leaders seek education. Reading, do I want to scroll another hour or become the guy who sharpens his mind for his future? Ask yourself those questions and let the pain of that negative self-talk sink in a little bit so that you actually are caused to move a little bit. You're actually caused to think, if I make this change, what could be possible? All right. So I want to share a personal example with you guys about how I kind of use negative self-talk to get myself to where I want to go. And each morning I wake up, I've shared this publicly for many years, at 5 a.m. and I go to the gym. And on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I do CrossFit or weight training. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do boxing. I have not missed a workout in probably 7 years. And I say that completely confident. I do that because I publicly say I am a disciplined and consistent and confident person, and I follow through on my commitments. And so what I wrote down was, when I don't want to get out of bed, I ask myself, how in the world can I tell guys in our program and parents listening right now or guys listening right now that I'm disciplined and I follow through if I don't do it myself? I think about the guys that I coach. I think about the families that have trusted me to bring their sons into our groups. And the pain of letting them down, it actually outweighs the comfort of staying in bed. That's what gets me up. And I've done this multiple times where I've literally hit my alarm and I've sat at the edge of my bed and all I've wanted to do was get back into my bed because my body was sore, because I didn't get enough sleep that night, because I was dehydrated and didn't have enough water, or by God, maybe I had one too many drinks that weekend. There have been multiple times where I did not want to get out of bed, and I think about the families and I think about the guys and I say, how can I ever put on social media that I'm disciplined, I'm confident, I'm consistent, I follow through on my commitments if I crawl back into bed right now? So find what that is for you in your life and strategically use it to help you get more of what you want. So if you're listening right now, whether you're a parent or one of those guys, I want you to know this, and this is really cool. I use the belief that you have in me as fuel because I can't live it. If I can't live it, then I don't deserve to teach it. So you listening right now, if you are continuing to believe that I am disciplined and I can positively help your son build better habits with his team members in our group sessions, that's why I continue to get out of bed in the morning and go to the gym at 5 a.m. and completely destroy my body and then come home, eat healthy, read, and boom, start talking about discipline and consistency and confidence and follow through at 9 o'clock every single day. I think about you who's listening to this or watching this right now. So I want to say thank you, because if I did not have you as an audience or if I did not have you as a listener, then it would be much more lonely. I would really have to find some other reasons. I would probably result to my family or my friends. And so I'm lucky that I now have some external reliable variables like listeners and like people who I work with to think about, hey, like if I can't do this, then I can't teach this. And so it's really important for me. And so I just wanted to say thank you. So to wrap this up, negative self-talk is not a place to live in. Yet used intentionally, it can be the spark that moves you from where you are to where you want to be. Think about the spark plug or the jumper cables for your car, right? You jump it quickly, negative, boom, but it's not the sustained journey. All right. The rest is, hey, I got up and I went to the gym. Boom, we're moving. We're doing good, right? We're doing the thing that a lot of other guys would not want to do right now. Now, if you want help with this energy to build discipline and confidence and consistency, what I want you to do is I want you to follow me on Instagram at DJ Logory, DJLOGORY, and I want you to DM me podcast. All right. That way I'll know you came from this episode and I'll know how we can kind of start a conversation about utilizing negative self-talk in a positive way. All right. So thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you got some value out of it. I'm only going to ask you to do one thing. If you're a parent, share this with your son. If you are a guy, share this with your mom or your dad, right? Let them know that you are trying to get better. And if you're a parent, let them know that you're looking out for your son and you think that this might be valuable. Okay. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And until next time, keep being that guy and we'll talk to you guys soon.